I came to DC to launch my career 20 years ago. But I didn't have a master's degree or any fancy education to that respect. When I found out that I could be a business consultant, leveraging my business-to-business sales career, everything I learned about customers, people, and about international shipping, and tying it into the Washington, D.C., Virginia, and Maryland area, and that I could be a third-party independent consultant, not working directly with freight forwarders or carriers, but working with those that are trusted and best for my customers, that it was the best of everything.
Okay. So you started your own shipping company?
Yes, and I'm a shipping consultant, third-party, so I'm not a carrier per se.
Gotcha. Okay.
But because I am a customer of carriers and freight forwarders, I help customers to navigate all the rules and regulations, help them to answer all their questions about shipping and what are the different modes of transportation, whether it's domestic or international. Domestic is usually by truck or by rail. International, unless it's Canada or Mexico, would usually be by air or by ocean, import or export.
Okay.
But customers are usually already involved in import or export or looking into it. And there's a lot of serious considerations before jumping right in. So I'm, very much involved in helping customers who are either new to international shipping or haven't had the best experience.
Okay. Take us to the process of what you do. How does that work? Well,
that's a good question, Basile. I think what makes me unique from your average carrier or provider is I'm only working with businesses.
Okay.
And I'm mainly working with smaller businesses. And they have usually either made an order overseas for import of commercial goods, or they have sold commercial goods that need to be shipped domestically heavy or internationally. They're going to go by air or by ocean, whatever it works best for everyone involved. So for example, I have customers who may be shipping computer hardware, solar technology. It may be some green technology in there that's in the midst of the manufacturing process. Here in the United States, manufacturing isn't really big in the DC area. So, for example, I have a customer about 100 miles away. As part of their manufacturing process, they ship to and from Maryland to Pennsylvania, to and from Maryland to Ohio, Michigan, other states, Alabama, other states where labor is probably less and there's more manufacturing.
Gotcha.
So generally I'm working with businesses that are manufacturing.
Okay. How about international? Do you do some of those?
International?
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, there's over 200 countries that I can help customers ship to and from.
And you have customers, you have people shipping there to and from right now?
Yeah. I mean, I get all kinds of questions. I mean, the shipping emergency phone calls are pretty much nonstop. I had one a couple of weeks ago. She said, I'm having an emergency about my shipment. I said, can you give me an idea? What is it we're talking about here? Well, it's in transit. And it's in Indonesia, and I don't know why it hasn't cleared customs. Well, I'm sorry, ma'am, I can't help you. I'm not involved in your shipment. You haven't paid me for the service. You haven't paid me to hire the carrier. I'm sorry that they're not communicating with you about why it hasn't cleared customs. But you see, that's one of the biggest concerns. I mean, if you're just shipping domestically, you don't worry about customs. When it comes to international, the two biggest headaches are customs and the cost.
The cost of the shipping?
It can be.
Okay. So how do you, being that you get into the business, how do you help the small business then?
So that's a good one. Take, for example, I have another new customer who recently told me, we want to check with you for this domestic shipment. It's 1,000 pounds going from Minnesota to Virginia. Our supplier has given us a price. It's a high value item. High value items over $100,000 in value usually can't even get insurance through the carrier, much less you wouldn't want insurance through the carrier. So I offered them both a quote for transit and cargo insurance for $300,000, and they said, all in all, that my price was 30% less, and they could actually reach me on the phone. You know, it is, you know, there's no 800 number. It's just call Jane. You know, and you know, I get it done. And because I'm set up as a customer of carriers and freight forwarders, depending on the need, I reach out to them as part of the customer service process. When is the pickup and delivery? What's the tracking number? And I get the information out, you know, to the customer. It's not just me taking someone's money to help with the shipment. It's you know, providing customer service that leads to repeat business is my #1 priority.
So basically, you have the connection with those carriers.
Yes.
You have a number of your customers, so they deal with you or do business with you differently than they will do from any just person. Who just do once in a blue moon, whereas you get them business regularly.
My customers see me as more than just contacting a carrier, but they see me as contacting a trusted friend or advisor. The reason why that works is because the conversation starts out with, well, what's gone well so far? What hasn't gone well so far? And you know, it could be anything from, you know, nobody communicated with us about the fact there was going to be a signature required for the delivery. I recently spoke to a woman who has a small business and she does marketing, and she has a customer in Germany, and she needs to ship printed materials 170 pounds to Germany next week. The printer gave her a quote. She's not happy with it. She called me. I said to her, the most important thing is your customer. And the best thing for you to do is to find out which location is going to be easiest for them to pick up from, FedEx, DHL, or TNT. Because those are their 3 choices really for a package that size going to Germany. Because the package is going to need to be signed for. And I may not be involved in all 3 of those carriers, but I'm looking out for what's best for the customer and their customer. And I think that's what leads to people saying, hey, we're going with you. We're trusting you. Okay. So every shipment is different, Basile. You have no idea some of the calls I get. So
basically with you, they get customer service and attention that they wouldn't have with the other bigger carriers. Is that what it is?
Kind of, except I tap into, I have service providers through UPS networks, through DHL, through TNT, through international freight forwarders.
What is TNT, by the way? You keep saying that.
They're a European-based carrier.
Okay.
I wouldn't offer you TNT unless you're shipping to or from Europe. I wouldn't offer you FedEx if you're shipping to or from Africa or South America. They're just not as well integrated. And I've heard stories about businesses who are using, I won't mention any more specific names of carriers, but just that it's always in the best interest of the customer. And then you also have to look at the size. There are just some commodities that cannot go on an airplane. And this summer I had a customer who sold some high value medical technology to a customer, a medical facility in Bogota, South America, Colombia. And we were just trying to decide whether it would be best to ship by air or by ocean because of the height of the machine. It wasn't going to be able to fit on just any Airjet, but from one of the 5 major airports where you can fly, where the airlines fly to Colombia, one of them happens to be Dulles. So I was able to find them a really good price through an air freight forwarder to get the machine there, because already it's going to take probably 3 or 4 weeks to clear customs there. If you ship by ocean to a city that's in the middle of a continent, it's not practical. But the same customer wants to ship to Port of Singapore, which is a port city, and shipping by ocean to Singapore is practical.
Gotcha.
So through my knowledge of, geography and what makes sense, and not just, what, I mean, I'll be honest with people. Well, if you want it there fast, it's going to be a little more. So what's more important to you, saving money or getting it there fast? And that's where we'll look at, express options versus heavy freight options.
Okay.
So, and then there's, for domestic, I'm not really going to be much help for small package domestic. I mean, if you see the post office and everybody standing in line, that's your small package domestic least expensive option is the post office. So I am upfront with everybody, and I think people can see how down to earth I am. So.
Okay. So I guess that would be post office or UPS.
Yeah,
or
and just go there yourself. I mean, and then there's the whole consumer market, which is probably served by little retail shipping stores, which I'm not. I'm a business consultant. I don't have a retail store. So that's another thing that makes me different.
Okay.
So.
I got you. So people call you at your number, and then you just take care of it. You contact the shipping company. They go and pick up the packet, and then they deliver it.
Yeah, I mean, you saw me that one day. I was dispatching the driver and doing a quote at the same time. I mean, So I'm that's how I go through my process. I'm helping customers, providing customer service all the time.
Okay.
So.
Very good.
Yeah.
What is the biggest challenge in your business?
The biggest challenge is probably, I hear a number of concerns, and the main thing is I can't help everybody. But there is a solution for every shipment, and the main thing is I think for import you have to think about you have to have an import bond. You have to have licensing for that. It's the same is true in any country. I think the biggest challenge is there's some things that customers have to take responsibility for themselves. I can't be responsible for that, but I can usually point them in the right direction. I think that there's a lot of opportunity for businesses to do export. I think the biggest challenge with export is the lack of any coordination between what's required between the United States and all 225 countries that you can legally ship to. So the main thing is just to understand. You have to do research. Is the commodity that you're selling to overseas, is it restricted in any country? And I mean, I can help point you in the right direction. Is it going to be restricted? And, do you have a customer base there? Who helps organizations? Who helps businesses to do business overseas? I can usually put you in touch with those types of groups. There's a lot around. I mean, the Fairfax County EDA is just great, as well as Mason Enterprise for helping businesses to expand and grow. I think the worst mistake you can make is to say, well, it's just not worth it. I had one bad experience with international shipping, and I'm never doing it again. Well, depending on what it is that you're shipping, I mean, But just keep in mind when you're sending out your packages, there is no confidentiality of what's going across borders.
Meaning what? Meaning the customs and can open it and check everything out?
It doesn't matter who you are. Every single air freight package is being screened by TSA. The same way your suitcase, and you are being screened as an airline passenger. Anything
leaving the country or coming into the country?
Absolutely.
Or both ways?
Absolutely. And even for domestic freight, which I'm also involved in, which generally, to get those domestic freight pricing, generally it's about 100 pounds or more. The charges for transit can vary by freight class. And freight class is a domestic thing, but you have to be upfront if you're transporting, whether you're transporting barbed wire or books or, you're going to have a higher freight class for a higher value item generally. Computers, things like that are going to be higher values. So for the same pallet or package, you pay more, for higher end goods versus, materials, and so you have to be completely upfront about what you're shipping. I mean, and I put a lot of trust into my customers sometimes, when I'm asking them over the phone, well, what is it you're shipping? Because we got to make sure that it can be shipped to wherever you're going to, whether it's domestic or international.
Got it.
So.
Okay. And what is your biggest accomplishment in the shipping field?
Well, I'm moving forward into 2014. As you know, I can't say that I'm only going to work for one industry, but for the medical supply field, it's very challenging to ship internationally. And when the customer came to me with the, he manufactures drug dispensers that help to treat cancer patients, and he had sold them to the client in Colombia, South America, not really knowing how difficult it can be to ship there, to even ship, I helped another customer ship a laptop there. It can be difficult, but not impossible. So on my end, I found really good rates through a very good freight forwarder, and on the customer end, he was able to locate a customs broker. You have to have that. And because of free trade agreements in some countries, specifically in South America, for example, Colombia, Mexico, which has always been part of NAFTA with the US and Canada, as well as Brazil. There's going to be goods such as medical technology, which are definitely going to be tax-free, but you have to know how to apply for that and how to fill out the paperwork correctly. So I'm kind of moving forward in 2014 on a plan that includes reaching out to those who are involved in import and export of medical goods, medical technology, anything from these drug dispensers to wheelchairs or anything. They're very challenging sometimes to clear customs in some countries. So, but it's not impossible, and there's certainly incentives with some of those free trade agreements. Okay. And also, we have the U.S. has free trade agreements with several countries in Asia and around the world. So I'm pretty knowledgeable about those different avenues. Okay. Yeah.
Very good. Now, I have a question for you. You attended a Breakfast Club event. Why don't you tell the audience how you like the breakfast event?
I really like it, Basile. I think you're one of the best connectors I've ever met as far as, and you do a really good job of teaching people how to network. And you must bring thousands of people to your events because if you want to come out and have a good time and in a very low pressure environment, to both learn about others' businesses and to promote your own, and whether you're a business owner or a sales rep or whatnot, you definitely want to come to Basile's Expo and to his breakfast clubs. So I'll be seeing you there more.
I didn't pay her, just so you know.
And so 2014 is right around the corner.
That's right. Yes, you mentioned the Breakfast Club. We host a monthly breakfast event. We want you to know that here in Fairfax at Old Town Hall, 3999 University Drive. And we just have the biannual expo last Friday, a week ago. So we're looking forward to the next event that will be on June 20th, right here in Fairfax at the Stacy Sherwood Community Center. We're going to have about 100 exhibitors there. We'd love to have them back as one of our exhibitors, because we want to introduce you to many more business people so she can help them with the shipping. Okay, so now I have a question. So you got into shipping. So when you came over here, you want to do something international, but was it specifically shipping that you was planning to get into? Or?
No, but coming through the world of transportation, I previously worked for the automotive industry, previously had sold some property and casualty insurance, and also previously worked in publishing, advertising. Gives me a lot of knowledge now as a business owner. When I start looking at, well, should I do marketing and advertising? And but it just brings me right back to when I went to, for example, I was lucky enough to be able to attend an event as part of the NVTC's Northern Virginia Technology Council's International Committee this week, where the ambassador from Mexico was speaking. Oh, wow. And because when I was in school, the countries I had studied in were Mexico and Brazil, which is where we now have two of our free trade agreement countries are, excuse me. And And it just kind of ties everything together. You know, I sat in classes in college about, you know, development, you know, of the third world and specifically of some of these areas. And it's just so good to see that there is progress being made. And it's part of the larger business community. And you couldn't find a more international place than Northern Virginia and Maryland and DC. So, and I wouldn't miss your breakfast club, so I'm going to be there in January.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Love to have you. The next one is on January the 16th.
Yeah.
Definitely looking forward to having it there. And it's great because with all the people who attended the expo now, they found out about it. So they'll be coming. We already have people signing up, people scheduling themselves.
Do you have a maximum number of attendees? Do people need to register ahead?
We like to cap it at 40, though we have gone beyond that. But I think as long as we know ahead of time, we can kind of like get a little bit those. I mean, truly not, because you never know. You know when they are there.
Yeah.
Because as you know, sometimes people can schedule themselves, they don't make it. But 40 is good because it allows to have that quote unquote like a bit of intimacy. Because when it's too big, it becomes easily impersonal. So people do not think they matter or they count. But when the crowd is small, like between 20 and 40, they feel their voice count.
Yeah, yeah.
They feel they matter. But if you put them into a big, now not that an expo is something else, because that's a trade and that's another story. But if just a get together, when it goes too much, the person just look at himself as a small Joe Blow in this crowd.
Yeah, right. And so you help people to learn more about, you know, expanding your network and things like that.
Yes, it's fundamental, because what I came to find is that the word networking is very much used, but not necessarily broken down to people as to what it is, what's workable, because everybody has the definition of it. For some, you just go into a meeting and then pass a business card, or put your business cards, how many people, hands are possible. But it's not really that. It is caring about the other people, seeing what you can do for them, and then from there become easy flows.
What is the furthest distance from that your attendees have come from to come to your breakfast?
Maryland, DC, they've come from all over the place. Maryland is, I said, the DMV area. Though at the last show, we have somebody who has a booth from Pennsylvania.
Right.
They drove all the way.
Right, I know, I met them.
Yeah.
I was really impressed.
Yeah. They came all the way, and they're planning to come again. I think the greatness of our events is that one of the things we work on is that anybody who comes there is welcome and feel comfortable.
Right.
I mean, to us, that's like the bedrock of it all.
Right.
Everybody welcome. There is no clique per se. There is no, we bring as much as we can everybody together so you're comfortable, and then the ice is broken. And then
you have so many different businesses represented.
Oh, yes.
That everybody feels, you know, like maybe they should come, even if whether their profession is common or not. Because, you know, more likely than not, there's going to be a place for them. You know, it's all about who shows up that day.
Exactly.
You know? So, yeah.
And the people are looking forward, even though, like, for example, I know somebody is in shipping, and that's what we try to teach also on networking. It's not just necessarily if you can be my customers, but who do I know that could be your customers?
Yeah.
You see, and that's something that we get out there, because that's what networking is. Not necessarily, I'm not doing shipping, so therefore we can't talk. Okay, I'm not doing shipping, but wait, let me think. This person over here knows those shipping.
Right.
So I would like to introduce that person so you can provide them, at least show them what you have to offer.
Right. And you know, you always have a lot of other interesting people coming. For example, you always have the SBA there, which is always a good resource for businesses.
The Fairfax Economic Development Authority also, they were there last time, you mentioned them.
Right.
We bring them there because it's a resource for the businesses, but they seldom connect. Business people seldom go to FCA or EDA office or to the SBA, so that's the opportunity. That's why we bring them in, so people can get a chance to meet with them.
And it's a great way to get the word out about your business.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
Definitely.